Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship New Bern. I hope you are safe in your home and that you have your coffee ready, and we'll be lighting our chalice in a little while, and I hope that some of you might have a candle nearby so you can light a chalice with us and so that we can share in the warmth and the glow of the candlelight. This has been a remarkable time that we are going through, and we're so happy that we've been able to bring you some services. We've been streaming on Facebook these past few weeks. Next week we will be beginning our streaming on Zoom. Look in your update for information about how to connect with us next week. We shall now light our morning's chalice.
We light our chalice this morning with these words. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
Please join in our first song. It's called Everyone is Important. Gail and I will play it through once, and then we'll sing it together 3 times. Everyone is important. I am, you are, we are together. Everyone is important. I am, you are, we are together. Everyone is important. I am, you are, we are together. We continue with our joys and sorrows. Nina is continuing to do personal joys and sorrows through email. You can contact her through the UU update, and she'll continue to send out weekly notices so that we will know what's happening with our community. I want to drop a few stones of just general concern. The first is a stone of concern for the anger that is out there as people are starting to chafe at the idea that they have to stay in, that they have to care for others in the community, that I hope that this anger does not overspill into wider society. Here's a stone of hope, that people will learn to care for themselves and to see all the ways that we can be helpful. And then another stone of joy. Last night I saw a global concert of different celebrities getting together, just celebrating all the heroics of our medical staff, and just remembering that there's so much good in the world. And the news tends to focus on conflict, but it is so amazing when we can intentionally look at people coming together to help one another.
Would you drop a stone for me, Charlie?
Okay.
I'd like to bring a stone of joy for the virtual community that we share on Facebook. If you have noticed that a lot of people have been sharing photographs of flowers, their pets, all of the different ways that we have been reaching out to one another to share jokes and, songs that we like, movies, just the different ways that people have managed to form networks of communication and joy. On one level, it seems kind of silly and a way of wasting time, but what it really is doing is sharing the little ways that we can connect with one another in joy. It's connecting, it's sharing the things that we like, that we enjoy, and that we can't physically be with one another, but we can definitely bring parts of ourselves that are joyful and give that to one another. And we've really managed to do that. And it's a real pleasure to me to see someone's flower that they have enjoyed that's growing in their garden. And I can show them a picture that a friend of mine has given me of the flower that they saw in Nepal. And so it's really interesting. And I think that that's a sign that while we are apart, we are all part of that interconnected web of existence. And we've got to celebrate that. And I'm really happy that that's happening.
I drop one more stone for all those joys and sorrows that are unexpressed. Please listen as Gail now reads our morning meditation. Breathe deep and close your eyes.
These are the words of Thich Nhat Hanh. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and be wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being, common to us all and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion toward ourselves and toward all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. Amen.
Please join in singing "'Tis a Gift." We will play it through one time and then sing it together twice.
Tis a gift to be free. Tis a gift to come now where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed to turn, 'twill be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come round where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley
3 months ago, in a previous epoch of time, I selected the topic for this Sunday. I chose Unitarian Universalism because the National Convocation of Universalists was scheduled to meet on May 15 to 17 at Outlaws Bridge Universalist Church, 40 miles southwest of here. This would have been a wonderful opportunity to learn about the Universalist tradition that spread across farm communities all over North Carolina. And it would have been time to spend with our neighboring church and to meet people from far away. And we'd learn about some of the Christian roots of our denomination. But then the pandemic struck. And this event, like many events, has been canceled. 3 months ago is a world away from where we are now. COVID-19 has changed our way of life. And it has made us think of death. And in the face of death, universal salvation is still worth talking about. What do we want to be saved from? Many religions try to save people from death. They promise that after physical death we will have an afterlife. Shinto and Native American religions talk about the spirit of the ancestors. The dead continue to live here on earth, often being present in the elements of nature, inhabiting the soil, the water, the air, and flora and fauna. Some religions, like Hinduism, believe in reincarnation, that the dead will live again. Their souls will inhabit new bodies. We are regenerated, generation after generation. Other religions believe that the dead move to a special place. Vikings say that the warriors, that after they die, celebrate in Valhalla. Christianity and Islam hope for a heaven after death. From a secular and scientific standpoint, there is little evidence for survival of our essence after the body has died. A scientific view assures us that everyone will die. There's no salvation from physical death. However, medicine looks for ways to delay death. Salvation is aimed at postponing the inevitable. Medical workers have offered us solutions to increase our lifespan. And these solutions come in two different camps. One is prevention. How do we keep from being infected and infecting others? And that is where the public health people come in. They talk about social distancing, wearing masks, not necessarily to protect yourself from getting a disease, but to keep you from spreading it to others if you are walking around asymptomatic. And then there is acute care. When somebody is sick and they need to be in the hospital and they need to be on a ventilator and they need medicine that helps mitigate the symptoms. All these efforts are done in our hospitals, and we're trying to make the public effort and the prevention efforts slow down the curve so that our acute care systems will not be overwhelmed. Even with a virus as deadly as this, and the statistics vary depending on how much people have been tested in any area, but at least 95% of people will survive. This is not universal salvation. We mourn all those who have died. Yet we can be grateful for every victory. And even though we feel the pain of each loss, there is an immortality of influence. Those who are gone live in our memories. Their past actions influence our present life. This is true for people of faith who believe that their loved one is in a better place and perhaps watching over us. And this is also true for the non-believer who knows that love lives on even after the body is gone. There is another interpretation of universalism, and perhaps the classic meaning of universalism as a denomination, and that is the freedom from punishment. In Christianity, there is the notion that sinners will be condemned to hell, but Universalists differed from other Christians. They believed that a loving God would find a way to save us all. All people would be reconciled. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. No principality or power, and not even our own stubbornness. Some people believe that we need to be scared into being good. Without the threat of punishment, some people would misbehave. And while that is true for some, I've seen something different in these last weeks. I see people being good for the sake of being good, taking risks to help other people, looking for ways to bring the community together, to be socially connected even when we are physically distant. But there are still those who view God as a cosmic Santa Claus, giving good boys and girls pearly gates and streets of gold, while others get lumps of coal burning on the hearth of brimstone. This was the revolution of universalism, something that we can learn from today. That instead of trying to define the saved and the unsaved, Universalists are called to love each person as a child of God. And humanists in our tradition are called to love each person simply because they are human. We do not separate the clean from the unclean. Everyone has the opportunity to be cleaner. We do not segregate some people saying they deserve punishment from God. We say that everyone can be transformed by the love we all need. So universalism in its classic form prevents suffering in the next life. But what about suffering in this life? Watching TV, I have seen some people say that faith will protect them from COVID-19. I saw a lady on TV say that she had no fear because, as she said, I am washed in the blood of Jesus Christ. I presume she was speaking metaphorically because she wasn't covered in blood at the time she was making this statement. And several ministers have continued to hold Sunday services despite warning. One preached, I firmly believe that God is larger than this dreaded virus. And he died of COVID-19 on the eve of Easter. And we mourn his death. We hope that those who are protesting social distancing with guns and no masks will somehow be be protected. Somehow that they, despite their taking such a terrible risk, will find a way to survive. Because we need everyone, even those who refuse to understand that staying apart, social distancing, is a way to be kind to your neighbor, even your neighbor who you disagree with. There seem to be some people who think that faith or their politics prevents them from suffering. This does not often work. But faith works often enough to encourage believers and keep them believing. In any scientific test of a new medicine, researchers need to account for the placebo effect. And this is why when we have news that someone says, I took this drug and I got better. Well, that might be a true statement, but we don't know if it was the drug that made you get better. Maybe the sense that you had hope and you gave your body a sense to fight the infection because you had hope that you would get better, and your body was under less stress because you had hope. Many patients who receive a pill will improve, even if the pill has no medical effect. When a study is done, one group of subjects receive nothing. A second group receive a pill containing no medicine, a placebo. And a third group receives a pill containing the drug under study. Just the hope of a cure can help some people. A positive outlook can improve outcomes. However, faith does not conquer all. Every human suffers and dies. When does hope help people seek solutions? And when is hope a type of denial that prevents people from getting the help they need? Others claim that people should be willing to die for their faith, that they should sacrifice this life for the afterlife, that they should gather in churches, and that God will protect them, and if God doesn't protect them, they were standing up for the cause of their faith. They try to convince people that unnecessary suffering has meaning. I urge people who believe this way to believe in kindness. That if we have the capacity for faith, we also have the capacity for wisdom, to listen to the dictates of science. And that is a gift, a blessing that we all have. But there is another fear that's gripping the nation. The fear of poverty. Because of the need for social distancing, we have shut down the economy. People are losing money. Government subsidies help, but there are questions about the fairness. The details are often unclear. Some people fear that the wrong people are getting most of the money. The essential workers are not stockbrokers, bankers, and wealth managers. We have begun to notice that grocery clerks and truck drivers and food workers are what really make this country run. Those with the lowest wages are forced to work and cannot afford to distance themselves from others. And there are the brave healthcare workers who do not have enough supplies to protect themselves, yet go forward and help others anyway. We need to provide for them. How will we be healthy if we allow our health workers to get sick? And then people get their health insurance through their jobs have lost their jobs and then their health care at the point when they need it the most. During this time of reduced availability of goods and services, some people are hoarding, but others are learning to live with less. I think of Henry David Thoreau, who said, simplify, simplify, in his experiment to live in a cabin alone in their solitude, occasionally walking into town to buy supplies. And we are all living a bit of a Thoreau experience, self-isolating, thinking about who we are and what we truly value. We use the car less, and we conserve energy. The air around us has become cleaner. Maybe, just maybe, we can live better with less. Will this be the lesson we learn from this time? And there are some that are facing loneliness. Social distancing can be alienating. For this, we can save ourselves. We can do old-fashioned things like write letters, send cards, as if this is a holiday. Time becomes special when we make it special, when we take note of it. And there's simple things. I've talked to relatives who I had not talked to in months, simply by picking up the phone. What would happen if each of us made 10 phone calls a day? No need for a topic of conversation. Just say, I'm thinking of you and hope you are okay. Find a way. Learn new technology. Go through your email list and connect with long-lost friends. The worship team has been having conversations after conversations on Zoom, learning as we go, trying to find ways to connect. And friends found on Facebook, as Gail was saying, playing silly games, but some are sharing art and music. And so many churches are streaming now. You could congregate several times a day. You can really learn what they're preaching in that church down the street. This is an opportunity to see who your neighbors are and what they believe, all from the comfort of your couch. Unitarian Universalism, Universalism especially, ultimately means if we include everyone, things will be okay. We have the power to share our grief, to share our hope, to share our wisdom and understanding. There is comfort in knowing we are in this together. So let us now join in our final hymn that ponders some of those big questions in life. Who am I? We will play it through once and then sing it through 3 times. How will I make my life one that is true? Whatever, whenever, this much I know. There will be meaning wherever I go. Who am I? Why am I? What shall I do? How will I make my life one that is true? Whatever, whenever, this much I know. There will be meaning wherever I go. We extinguish the chalice with these words.
These are words that are attributed to St. Francis of Assisi. Where hate rules, let us bring love. Where sorrow, joy. Let us strive more to comfort others than to be comforted, to understand others than to be understood, to love others more than to be loved. For it is in giving that we receive, and in pardoning that we are pardoned.
This concludes our service. Be peaceful. Hold yourself. And in your mind, reach out to others and let them know you love them. Peace. Shalom.
Shalom.
Salam.
Salam.
Namaste.
Namaste.